last time, the last tutorial that I made, we made two entities. I have the ninja entity and the level entity. There's nothing in the level entity. It's just an empty level. What I'm going to be doing is adding the ninja into the level. Like if you were doing it with a game, right? Like you have the level with all the nice grass and sky and whatever else you have in your level. And then you want to add in your character at the very beginning. That's pretty much what I'm going to be doing. So if I go over to my Lua, the first thing you're going to want to do is create a variable. I'm going to call it scene. This variable is going to hold the instance of my level and ninja. So you're going to use a class named scene. So you say scene, and this takes in a parameter. The parameter is scene dot, all capital, scene underscore 2D. So pretty much the parameter is letting this scene class know whether it's a 3D or a 2D scene. After you create this this variable, there's a little problem. If we go back to the Poly project here, I changed the window size to 1200 by 720. That's only the window size. That is not the camera size. You're gonna see the issue with this in a minute. But first, let me go ahead and create the level. So I'm gonna make a level variable, and in order to instance an entity, you need to use a class called scene entity instance. And this takes in two parameters. I'm going to give it my scene as the first parameter, and the directory of where my entity is as the second parameter. So assets entity level 1 dot entity. There. So now that that's instanced, I'm going to add it into my scene as a child. So scene add child. This takes in a parameter, and it's the entity. So now my level is a child of the main scene. Obviously there's nothing in the level, but just take my word that it does actually create it, and it adds it as a child. So I'm going to go ahead and play it over here just to make sure that there's nothing error in it. So click that. Yeah, go ahead and save. Okay, there's no errors. So now I'm going to make the ninja. So I'm going to call the variable ninja scene entity instance. The scene again, and the assets. Assets entity, and it's ninja dot entity. There. Now, instead of adding the ninja to the scene, I'm going to add the ninja to my level. So I'm going to say level add child ninja. Now let's go ahead and play this, but there's gonna be a problem. You'll see what it is. Oh, wait a minute, that's not it. I spelled it wrong. You know what? I forgot the N, but whatever. There you go. There's the problem. Since our camera doesn't have as many, well, it's not as big as the window, it really does like a massive close-up, you know, because it doesn't have pretty much as much pixels as the window. So right now we're somewhere around the chest of my ninja. So how do you fix this? It's pretty simple. Inside of the scene variable right here, we're gonna get the default camera, and we're gonna set the ortho size. Now this takes in two parameters. I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna give it the two ints of the window size. So mine is 1200 by 700, 720. Okay. So with that, let's go ahead and play it. Oh, whoops. Didn't spell it right. Now it's the ortho size. I think that's a capital S, if I'm not mistaken. Nope, not a capital S. Ah, right. Well, that was dumb. Other way around. There you go. Gotta pay attention. There you go. Now that our orthographic size is the same as our window size, now we can see the whole character. Even though he is pretty massive, but since the window is also pretty big, you know, it's not as big as if when you're clicking on here, going into 3D and just seeing how big that is. Okay, so now that that's out of the way, let's go ahead and move them. So in Lua, you can just call the function update, and this has a parameter, so the delta time. I'm just gonna call it elapsed. Say end. Okay, so in here, what we're gonna do is an if statement. Okay, inside of the if statement, wait, up here. So if the Polycode has a class, has a global class called services. This is where you're gonna grab your input from in the update. So it's services dot input, and I'm gonna get key state. inside this parameter, I'm gonna put the key that I want. So when this key is pressed, whatever key I use, the right key, when it's pressed, move my character to the right. So it has to be in all caps, key right. I want my ninja to move to the right. Okay, so ninja get position dot x, and yeah, let me go ahead and add. I'm gonna add a variable called move in a minute, and that's gonna move him to the right. And I want his y to be the exact same. I'm not moving upwards, I'm moving to the right. Get position dot y. There. Up here, I'm gonna make a variable called move, which is just gonna equal 0. Inside of this if statement, I'm gonna have my move go ahead and accumulate 1 times elapsed. Yeah. You use elapsed to pretty much smooth it out to the amount of frames that you have set. So in my project, I have 60. You usually do 30 or 60, maybe 120. I don't really know. Depends on your game, I guess. So right now, I'm gonna go ahead and play this. Oh, we got an error. Attempt to call method get position. Of course. Get position. Yes. And there he goes. Every time I press down my right key, he moves over. And he's out of the screen. Okay. So, there's another way that you can do this. It's not as smooth, and I don't really recommend it as using it to move your character, but you can use it for other things like moving in a menu or shooting, something like that. Something that requires one time, not continuous, like moving your character left, right, something like that. So in Lua, you can say function on key down, and this has a parameter of key. Say end. Okay. So in here, I'm going to say if key equals key right So I'm pretty sure by now you know that key is whatever the key that got pressed down. Oh, forgot the then. I don't think Lua uses that. I'm just going to take it out just in case. That way there's no error. Okay. So I'm going to move this code down here. Let me go ahead and copy that. Paste that down there. And I'm going to remove this. Okay. remove elapsed. So when I play this, it won't be as smooth as if it would be in the update, but it will still move. Let's go ahead and press play. So when you press, he's moving pretty slow. Okay, there he is. Actually, that is kind of smooth. But it's kind of weird though, because when you press down, he doesn't immediately move. It takes him a little bit. Yeah. You don't really want that. You want it to be an instant. Once he presses the button, he's moving. And moving him to the right. So let's go ahead and move him to the left. I'm going to move this right back down here. Also, you can do a on key up as well if you want to know which key got let go or anything like that. Polycode has a few functions like that for Lua. There's also a fixed update, but that's for physics. That's not for, an entity that doesn't have physics. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove this right here. And instead of moving him to the right, I'm gonna move him to the left. Go ahead and copy that. Change that to left. And instead of adding it, I'm going to, wait, no, not up here. Not up there. Okay. Down here. I'm going to subtract it. Go the opposite direction. So if I press play, he moves to the right, and he moves to the left. There you go. This is a pretty basic movement, and he's moving faster because I'm not setting move to 0. So whatever value it has, it's just automatically adding it. So it gets faster and faster and faster the more I have it pressed. So actually, you can use one of those functions. So on key up, you're gonna say key. Let's go ahead and use one of this. So if key equals key underscore left, then go ahead and make move equal to 0 again. Go ahead and let's say, or let's just grab the same thing. Control C, Control V, and let's say right. There you go. So now when the key gets let go, I will set the variable right back to 0. So instead of adding or subtracting whatever value is in move, it will always start at 0. Let's go ahead and test it. Press down. You let go. That should have been set back to 0. So when I press the left button, he's right back at 0. Let's go ahead and add in some value. Okay. Let go. Press right. And he starts right back at 0. And he starts moving. There you go. So this is how you do it in Lua. I will be doing this in C++ as well. In C++, it is definitely different, but you are definitely going to learn using C++. So stay tuned for that one.